call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. Tony, pledge allegiance. Everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Tony,
Second.
Roxanne, all in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Moving on. Approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of April 19th, 2017.
So moved.
Roxanne?
Second.
Michelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Oh, thank you. Chris abstains. Moving on. Superintendent.
Superintendent's update. So we've got a great meeting planned for today. We're going to hear about a great trip to Italy that already occurred. We're going to hear about a proposed trip to Washington, D.C. And we're also going to honor some of the greatest members of our staff tonight with our Plymouth 212 Awards. So I'm looking forward to that as well. In terms of my other updates, just want to let you know, in terms of the Remogo issue that we've talked about, we were able to find a way to send all 11 students, and it worked out because the folks at Region 6 were also very open to the conversation. We will not be spending any more additional dollars to send the 11 students than it would have cost us to send the 9 students. So we're very fortunate that through conversations back and forth with Region 6, we were able to make that work out for our students, and we're happy that we could make that work. It took some time. It took some time to make it work, but we were happy we could do that. Central office relocation. We weren't thinking we were going to have this conversation at this point, but I want to make sure I state publicly that, you know, with our boiler, which is ancient, and it's not working anymore. We've been kind of freezing at central office because obviously the weather has not been so good. But we are going to have to truly look for a new space. That space looks like it will likely potentially be the high school. That building was built for 650 students, and currently there's less than 500 students there. So instead of trying to build a new space, in terms of with our enrollment that's decreasing, it makes sense to repurpose space. So a lot more conversations will have to happen, and our goal would be to try to move into our new space before it gets cold on the other end of the seasons, on the fall end. So we'll have to have a lot more conversations about that, but I wanted to give some heads up. I did speak to Mr. Holtz, the principal of Terryville High School, and I believe he had even a conversation today with the faculty at the high school, just to let people know that this is a possibility, and a pretty strong possibility. But that boiler is going to cost us over $10,000 to fix, plus there's asbestos that would have to be remediated. And oh, by the way, our roof at that school has been leaking, as Ms. Parsons knows. So we don't think it's going to get better, and it would cost significant dollars to fix that roof. So better get moving before we have some significant issue. And then finally, just want to let everybody know, based on the information I'm seeing, the public hearing on the second referendum will be May 18th at Town Hall in the community room at 7 o'clock. So that'll be an opportunity for the town council to ultimately set the date and the actual amount to go to the second referendum. So that's what I have for the update today.
What was that date again?
May 18th, it's Thursday, May 18th. I believe the town Board of Finance has a meeting tomorrow night. Just one of their regularly public meetings. I think they're going to talk about money tomorrow night, but the public hearing, I understand, will be the 18th of May. And that is another tri-board meeting where a quorum of the board would be necessary to have conversations with the council and the Board of Finance.
So let myself, Dr. Semmel, or Pat know if you guys are going to be able to make it, so we have a heads up.
And that's where they would make the date for the next referendum then?
Yep.
Okay.
They'd make the date, they'd set the amount,
Okay.
and if they add any additional questions, that's when they would discuss that as well.
All right.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, moving on. I'm going to start with Nora today. Miss Nora?
All right, to start, this annual spring extravaganza will be held in the auditorium next Friday on May 19th. So we'll see all the staff and students come out and perform, people dance, people sing, and it's a really good time. Also, the AP exams are coming to a close this week, with the last test being tomorrow. It's statistics, and the students are really excited, not necessarily to be done with the classes, but to get the tests out of the way. It's a big weight off of everyone's shoulders. Also, the career fair will be Friday, May 12th for the 10th graders, but all grades are welcome to come if they have a free period. The 8th graders are also invited, and there'll be over 40 occupations, setting up a table there, just giving information for any students curious about the various careers that they can enter following high school. And it's really interesting seeing the variety that we have to choose from. Also, there's going to be a plant sale fundraiser on May 13th from 9 to 3 on Saturday in lieu of Mother's Day, and it's put on by the PTSA to support the aftergrad. Also, the National Honor Society will be hosting a painting party with the same seniors that come to the monthly book club. The National Honor Society members will be volunteering, painting with the seniors, providing food. There'll also be board games for anyone who doesn't want to paint. So it's going to be a really fun night, and that's after school that day, on May 23rd, sorry. And it'll be held in Miss Ritchie's room, so it's going to be a really fun time. And we hope to spend some time with the seniors, more students than who participate in the book club. Also, the senior trip to Holiday Hill will be on May 26th. The mentor picnic will be on May 31st, and the Booster Club awards will be held on June 1st.
Is the plant sale actually here?
It is at, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Should
think
be here.
Miss Borda is selling the plants.
Okay,
Yeah, in her room.
thank you.
I think it might be at,
Sure, she's selling
Plymouth
some
Town
here,
Green.
too.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Miss
Usually they
Borda's
have
also
it
Yeah.
selling some too.
in years
Thank you very
past.
much.
Those
I'm
that-
glad I got
Yeah.
yours. All right, thank you. Any questions for
That's
Nora?
one.
All right, Miss Riley?
Okay, so first prom is this Friday, May 12th at 6 o'clock at La Bella Vista in Waterbury. And we have actually over 150 people going, including students and faculty and chaperones. So that's really exciting for the seniors because it's going to be a really big event. And our theme is Galaxy Under the Stars. So the seniors voted on that and we're all really excited. And that's from 6 to 11. And then the pancake breakfast at Plymouth Congregational is that same night, but it starts at 10:30 and it goes until 1 o'clock. And that's just, it provides a safe place for all the students to go after prom instead of going out and doing something that might not be the smartest. So kids can go and eat pancakes and just continue the fun there. Next is the Day of Caring on Friday, May 19th. And there are 16 kids going around the town for beautification projects and just helping better the town, I guess. And then there's going to be 10 staying at the school and doing things here. Last year, a group of kids went to the Terryville Fairgrounds and we cleaned up the food booth. And that food booth gets pretty gross, but it was a really fun event and it brought a lot of kids together along with some of the Lions came, and it took a while, but it was very satisfying to see the results, so that'll be fun. And then the Senior Music Awards at Nucci's are on May 22nd at 7, and that is going to be held by Mr. Keene. And it's for band and chorus seniors, and they'll just be given awards based on what they did throughout their 4 years at high school. Next is Scholarship Night on May 25th at 6:30 here in the auditorium. And the seniors are just so thankful for all the opportunities we were given regarding scholarships. We actually get about $250,000 provided to us in scholarships. And we're so thankful to the local businesses and families that give us the opportunity to fill out these scholarships. Next is Miss Ritchie's art show, which starts on the 30th, and all of the board members are invited to come see that. It is unfortunately not open to the public, but it's amazing to see all of the work that these kids have put in Miss Ritchie's art classes, and to see all of the work that some of the seniors have done throughout their years here. And then last, on Thursday, June 1st, in the morning is the awards morning for all of the students here, and parents are welcome, and they'll be given things such as academic awards or awards regarding their extracurriculars and stuff like that. And parents are also welcome to come see the art show after that. And that's it.
Any questions for Riley? Okay, Miss Amy. Okay, so for our spring sports, they've been off to a really good start. All the teams are having a lot of fun with it. And today the girls softball team played Hoosie, and we won 13-3. I unfortunately do not have the score for the boys baseball game, but both JV and varsity were away at Hoosie today. For golf, they won their match against Northwest. It was 204-216. And then for track, they are going to have their Berkshire League Championships on May 12th. Then the band is going to perform at the two parades. The one in Plymouth is May 28th, and the one in Terryville is May 29th. And this is a really good opportunity for the students to go out and show the community all that they've been working on, and to show them that they have improved from last year and years past. And then there's going to be a STEM fair May 22nd, which is being put on by Miss Bergaderi, who is one of the science teachers. And it's to get students interested in pursuing careers in the STEM field, which it's really beneficial. I went on a field trip for STEM, and it was just for girls because they're trying to get more females into programs, into careers like that. And it actually pushed me to go into a science field career, so I thought that was pretty awesome for her to do. And that's all I got. Thank you. Any questions for Amy? Thank you, ladies.
Excellent.
Great, moving on.
Is it that time?
It's that time.
All right, so we're going to do a couple of presentations. We actually get to travel to Italy first with Miss Ritchie, so I'd just like to invite Miss Ritchie to the podium, and anyone else that you're inviting up there with you.
Okay, so I don't know if everyone is aware, but we did get to spend some time in Long Island to Italy. 3 nights in Long Island. Our plane was canceled, and unfortunately we're on that big, humongous double-decker plane which holds over 500 people. So there were other also airplanes that were also canceled. We were staying in Long Island about an hour and a half away from the airport the first night, and then it was supposed to be 20 minutes away from the airport the second night, but the bus driver decided to take the scenic route, so it was another hour and a half to whatever. So Sunday night, we finally got on the airplane to leave for Paris, and arrived in Paris only to sit there for 6 hours until our plane left for Rome. So we arrived in Rome at 5:30 Monday night and traveled for 4 hours on a bus to Sorrento.
You're really selling this.
I'm just saying. I'm leading up to like the big finale. We got there, we stopped for dinner along the way, and so we didn't get to Sorrento until about 12:30 at night.
And then went for a walk on the beach.
Well, down to the beach, because we had to see something. And then the next morning, we got up and left at 7:30, and that was it for Sorrento. So that's why it says on the posters, Sorrento in less than 8 hours. That's where that's from. Back to Rome for another 4-hour bus ride, and then from there, the rest is wonderful history. I have to say, the kids at the airport waiting around, and then going back the next day and waiting around. It makes me cry to think how wonderful wonderful they were. I would take them again in a heartbeat anywhere. They were patient, they were empathetic, they were kind to me and to
They were
all the
creative.
They were very creative. Yeah, it was a life learning experience. Things like this do happen in real life, and so you deal with it the best that you can. And then once we got to Italy, it was just wonderful. So we did get to see Florence, and we did get to see Venice. We did miss all of Rome, and we did miss, well, one night in Sorrento. So to make up for it, Mrs. Ritchie was on the phone from Monday to Friday with World Strides, begging them to please extend the vacation. And then finally a parent got on, Kara Pham, who I have to give credit to, finally said, you need to think outside the box. We need to extend this because we did all this fundraising, we did all this, preparation for this trip, and they sent us to London. And so therefore you'll see on the posters there's a little bit of London that we got to see Saturday, Sunday, and then we left Monday to come home. But other than that, it was a very successful trip, and I think the kids really did enjoy it. I'm sure they won't forget it anytime soon. I'm going to let Allison talk a little bit before we show the quick movie.
I do think that the troubles that we faced helped us a lot. I think we figured out how to deal with it. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. We were at 4-star hotels in Long Island. It wasn't awful. We were in the hot tub, in the pool, in the sauna. We were having a good time all together. And I think it taught us that when you travel, not everything does go right. So you were with your friends, you were with a big group of people, so it was kind of not a good time for things to go wrong, but it taught us how to deal with it if something was to go wrong. And once we got there, and once we started to be in Italy, and when we heard we got to go to London, we forgot all about JFK. It didn't even matter to us anymore, so.
So,
I don't have much to say, other than we were very tired. Whenever we got on a bus, we slept. I think probably 2 minutes, and you turn around and everybody was sleeping. We walked and walked. We did a lot of walking.
hence World Strides. We walked 8 miles one day, and I think we walked 14 miles another day. So it was a lot of walking. Our feet will tell you all about that. So if we could show our little video. This is, Gerald Lovelace is my soon-to-be son-in-law. He also went, my daughter went, my husband went, but he was nice enough to, he's a professional photographer, but he also works at ESPN as a graphic motion designer. So he does this on the side, and he was nice enough to put this together for us. So I hope you'll enjoy it.
We're going to be spending a lot of time together. Like, this tour is amazing and you're going to see a lot of wonderful things. So really what I want to tell you is make the most of it. It could be, hopefully not, but it could be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It definitely is a very, very important possibility you're given here to visit a foreign country and see so many incredible things.
And so Pompeii is actually covered from, not from the ground, but from the sky. Yeah, exactly. It's ash, it's things called pyroclastic rock, which are these rocks that explode from the volcano everywhere, okay? And this rain, this deadly rain, covers the city pretty quickly. And to a very high extent, everything is covered. This town completely disappears from sight. and Roman art. Okay, so this is what happens in the 1400s. It starts earlier, of course, because Renaissance doesn't start from one day to the other. It's not like you go to sleep, it's the Middle Ages, you wake up, oh my God, it's Renaissance today. Oh, okay, it takes time, it's a process, of course. All local produce, the food is great, but most of all, I think the view is absolutely amazing. All the cliches you've heard about the Tuscan hills and the Tuscan countryside and all of that, you are going to see it. We're going to go up to the hill town of San Gimignano. San Gimignano is a beautiful little town. It, as I told you, it looks like it is 1200 in the 1200s, so 800 years ago. There are many less towers now. There are 13 towers surviving in San Gimignano, which gives it the nickname of the Manhattan of the Middle Ages. Like all islanders, or all people from islands, they like their nice isolation. You know, they like to be part of Italy, but they like to be separate, okay? And so basically, now there's this whole kind of modern part of Venice, which is on the lagoon actually, and it's the only part you can actually drive on. So Venice is built on this lagoon. Venice is the first Las Vegas. I'll miss you. Did you guys have a good time? Yeah. Good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, one thing that I can tell you all now that we're all together is a wish that I want to wish all of you, especially the students, because you've still got your lives ahead of you. So what I want to tell you is keep traveling, keep exploring. Whenever you can, wherever you can. Some of you will be able to go a million places and far away. Some of you will be able to go just closer and every now and again, or maybe very few times. It doesn't matter. Do as much of that as you can, no matter how different they are from you. The countries to visit are all beautiful and different and incredible. Keep exploring, all right? Keep traveling. It is the best thing you can do. Va bene? Va bene!
So I have to say that Gerald brought his drone, and that's why you can see those over the head bird's eye view images. There's one other thing I was going to say, and I forgot it.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
I've never been to Italy, so I feel like I've been there a little bit.
Yeah. If you want to see this, I know it was a little washed out in here because of the overhead lights. It is on YouTube. It's Gerald Lovelace, Italy, 2017, and you can see it much better. It's definitely worth enjoying. Our tour guide was definitely better than his photograph that we got on paper, so Mrs. Ritchie was very happy about that. Just saying. It was worth the wait. On that note, I think I'm done. Are there any questions? I won't go with World Strides again. That's a definite. It was a little frustrating knowing that they really weren't going to do too much for us at one point. I know that a lot of it was in the airports, the airlines' hands, because they're the ones who canceled the flight. So we had to make do with, going back we were at their mercy, so.
Well, thank you for taking such good care of our kids while you were out there, and thank you
They
for
were
coming here
wonderful.
tonight and showing us a little bit of your trip. Definitely appreciate that.
And please, don't forget to look at the pictures also. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now we actually want to talk about a proposed trip to Washington, D.C. So I know Mr. Nave is coming up, and I think maybe Mr. Velius and perhaps others, maybe even Mr. Velius's son?
Yes.
Okay. I think Mr. Holt is in the audience somewhere too, I believe. There it is.
I brought handouts for everybody, so if you take one each and pass it along, please. We are here to talk about an opportunity that I think is very unique and a very good opportunity. It's with the Close-Up Foundation. In my 32 years teaching, I've been aware of the Close-Up Foundation and their work, and it has been a goal of mine to start to participate with the Close-Up Foundation. And this was the year to start. I figured it was a very good year to do this, considering progress we've made at school in our civics education program with the students and with the seniority of our social studies department. We're in a good place to do this. So what I'm passing around is a pamphlet with a whole bunch of pictures and information. Then I prepared remarks, and I'm not going to read them word for word, but you could read them, but I'm going to summarize what I wrote. The Close-Up Foundation was founded in 1970, and their goal is to promote civic education to students around the country, and this is a national program. And the students go down to Washington, D.C. for a week, and during that week, they learn the ins and outs of how to function legislatively in particular in our nation's capital. It is a program where students will spend time on Capitol Hill. They're one full day on Capitol Hill. They sit in on meetings, hearings, they meet with legislators, and the other days, if they're not doing direct work on legislative practice, so to speak, and you'll hear more about that in a minute, they're touring Washington, D.C., and they're seeing the amazing treasures that are in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a very walkable city with a lot of history right within its borders, so the students get firsthand access to that with people who know the city backwards and forwards. I'm going to pass the microphone in a minute to two people who will tell you much more about the trip from a very personal point of view, but the nuts and bolts, the trip is approximately $1,300 depending on the time of year. To get this far, we set up a proposed date, set of dates, it's in November this year, so it would probably be in the $1,200 range as opposed to in the spring, which would be closer to the $1,350 range. The students are assigned in rooms of 4. They stay with somebody from their school and 2 other people from another part of the country, so there's good exposure to other students. They have to pay for their airfare or train fare
to and from, and spending money is minimal because everything is taken care of there. I will put a plug in for this because I don't believe there's any way better for a student to get to know the real power of individuals other than going and doing. And that's what they do in Washington, D.C. They learn how to do, and they see how the process runs. It's clunky, but it works. In 2010, I was awarded a fellowship in the Congress. I'm the teaching fellow for the 5th Congressional District, so I did my internship in Congress. And I'll tell you, when I came back in the fall, I couldn't tell you how much more I knew, and I'd been studying civics for a lifetime. But that time in D.C. really changed my entire perspective of how I taught. So with this, we would send a teacher along as well, and that teacher will come back much more fully prepared to get the kids ready to be active civic participants. So with that brief introduction, I'm going to pass the microphone to Mr. Peter Velius, a member of the Social Studies Department, who's going to speak to as a parent of somebody who sent 2 kids on this, and then we have his oldest son, Zach Velius, who has gone on this trip. So I'll pass the microphone over to them.
My role here obviously is twofold. I'm a teacher in the building, but I've also had 2 students that have gone on the trip. And my last son is a sophomore. He went with his AP Gov class this past spring, right before baseball season started. And he came back, and it was probably one of the best things he's ever done. And he went on a trip, as did my oldest and my middle son. They all went on an 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. And this trip far surpasses any experience they had while they did the 8th grade trip. In 8th grade, they were running around with their chaperones, and here it's more of a college type experience where they get to room with a student from their own school. And then my youngest son just came back. He roomed with 2 students that were from outside of Chicago, so they get to intermingle with kids from all over the country. He came back when they were debating actually the new health care that didn't make it to the floor of the House. They pulled it, but he came back and he was all excited. He's like, "Dad, if," this is why I think it's very important, if this goes through, I can say I was there for the first time they debated it on the House floor, because he was in the audience watching it, and he said it was just outstanding, and he loved it, loved it, loved it. Can't say enough about it. It is a little pricey, but being the fact that they can do fundraisers, there's matching grants that you can get, there's opportunity to defray the cost by, I think, a lot, and we have some good community support usually around here, especially with the Lions program and others, Kiwanis and things like that. I think there's an opportunity to defray the cost and make it doable for these students, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And my 2 sons loved it, and I really hope that we have an opportunity to push forward with this and move. And also, for me, as a teacher, I hope that I'll be able to go on the trip with them and chaperone, because teachers get immersed. Teachers don't just chaperone the students, they get their own professional development when they're there, so they get immersed in other things. They get taught while the students are out at their various sites that they go to. Teachers are taken to different places like battlefields, Manassas, and taken to see their representatives, and they get to meet other people in the government. So it's a great opportunity for both the student and the teacher, and I think that it brings back immense knowledge that is invaluable for everybody here, not just the people that get to go. So that being said, I'd like to pass it over to my son, who was on the trip. He's a sophomore at Castleton University now, and he went on the trip when he was a junior with AP US History.
Hello. As you heard before, I'm going in my junior year of college. I went on the trip in 2013, and it was different than anything I had ever done before. Like he said, I went on the trip when I was went on a DC trip when I was in 8th grade too, but this time when you go on close up, it's much more academic. Not only do you get to room with kids from other parts of the country, I actually roomed with a kid from Iowa and a kid from Michigan. But you break up from your people from your school. You and your roommate stay, but you're in a group, sort of like a classroom with students from all over the country. It's just a really unique experience. They take you, there's academic activities with all the different monuments and stuff that you go and visit. We did activities with the Lincoln Memorial, the FDR Memorial, Korean War, Vietnam, World War II, Washington Memorial. It was just a really cool experience. One of the best things that we did there, as Mr. Nave was talking about, that you get to learn how the legislature functions. While we were there, we did sort of like a mock Congress. They split all the students up, they put them all in a room, and you split them up, they give each, they bring up a bill that's currently being debated on the House floor, and they give each group of students a side to support, and they debate back and forth for about an hour, and at the end you take a vote and you see if you can pass the bill or not. It was just an awesome experience all around. We got to visit the Supreme Court. We met with our representative, who was Chris Larson, but here I believe it's Elizabeth Esty.
Yep.
So the students from here would meet with her, with the teacher. Threw me off now, hang on.
You were saying you get to meet with the reps?
Yeah, we get to meet with the representative. Our teacher wasn't with us for most of the trip. She was doing professional development and other stuff. We would see her in the morning, and then certain activities during the day, we would be back with her, like when we went to the Supreme Court, when we met with our representative. But it's all about interacting with the other students, and the people that, your group leader, like they know DC like the back of their hand. The people really know their stuff, no matter what they're talking about. And they do a great job facilitating discussion between the students with all the different activities. There's very little downtime when you're there. I think we were doing stuff every day for the 5 days, from like 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and then it's really not much time for anything else. It was a great experience. The first day we got there, we got off the plane, we did the Smithsonian museums and stuff like that, because there was no real group activities going on until later that night. When everybody got there, they broke us up into our different classrooms, and we did activities. We got to know all the other students. And after each place we visited, we would come back and we'd all get together and we'd talk about the history behind it and everything that had to do with it, what everybody thought. It was just a great experience. And if you guys have any questions for me about the trip, that'd be great.
Any questions? I have one question. Did you get to go under the LOBs, the tunnels underneath?
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. Just curiosity, because I got to do that once.
Yeah, it's very cool to see how all that operates.
Yeah, exactly.
Congress actually wasn't in session while we were there, so it was a little unfortunate, but we still got to meet with we got to see the House and the Senate floor, but a little unlucky.
The only thing I would point out in addition is just that this occurs during a week of school. You know, we often have talked about, when we did the Italy trip, it was over April break. But I've been I know Mr. Holtz has talked to Mr. Nave and others in the department, and I've spoke to Mr. Holtz quite a few times. To me, there's a lot of value in this trip for the kids who will go, and they've worked out a situation where if Mr. Velius is the teacher who goes, they've got a whole plan in terms of who will cover the classes, so the kids who aren't going will still be getting the benefit of the education. So I just want to make sure you were clear that this trip is during a school week, because I don't want there to be any confusion on that.
If I could add to that, the trip that we have scheduled, so we weren't spinning anybody's wheels and wasting anybody's time. We wanted to make sure we had some traction, so we had an informational meeting for parents and students in March, and we had more than half a dozen students come with their parents with a serious interest, even many of them ready to put down payment down, which I have to say, hold it, the board has to approve this. Berlin sent 4 kids this year. We already have 6 or 7 who want to go, so we have a good representation there. And the week that I would like to lock into, because I'd like to make this a yearly thing, would be the week after elections. So this year would be interesting because it would be the first election since the presidential election. It's a non-congressional year, but it's a lot of state elections. So we'll get to see the ramifications of what's going on in our country at the state level, and that will play out in Washington, D.C. that next week. The following year, it will be midterm elections. And when I did my internship in Congress, it was during that healthcare thing in 2010, and then Minority Leader Boehner, who spent a lot of time with us, was very sure he would be the next speaker. And it was interesting to talk with him, and he said, oh yeah, I will be the next speaker. And I was like, wow, he's really cocky. But he knew what he was talking about. And it was amazing to see. So being there firsthand is more valuable, I hate to say this, I don't want to put myself out of a job, than any kid sitting in my class for a whole year. You know, I was there at the 20th anniversary of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and Congress was going to celebrate that act by having the legislator from Rhode Island chair that day, be the speaker for the day. He's the only member in a wheelchair. Come to find out, to the speaker's podium, there's no ramp. So Congress itself is non-compliant with its own law. And I was sitting in the front row to watch that. I mean, that's invaluable to bring back to the classroom, to, you know, not just the dysfunction, but it's really an amazing thing for the kids and the teachers, and I do really emphasize the teachers, to be there to bring this back to the classroom. And for a town like Terryville, we are a small district. For us to say that we're able to do this would be quite incredible. So I'm urging you to consider this. We're here, please ask questions if you have any, and I put my contact information there as well.
You guys have any discussion, questions?
I would like to make a motion to approve the Washington DC trip for our students at Terryville High School from November 12th, 2017 to November 18th, 2017.
I want to interject just for a second, because I thought I just heard Mr. Nave. Was it a different date, or was it those dates,
Nope.
November 12th through 18th?
Those days.
Those are still accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I didn't misunderstand something.
Okay.
I apologize.
No,
I'll second the motion.
Any discussion? I guess my only concern is, like, when will we have an estimated, a better number? Because we do need to kind of know that too in our motion.
The number of
Unfortunately.
1,300 is in the middle. I probably have it in
No,
my
not the
notes.
cost,
No, the
how
number
many
of students.
kids?
Oh, the
Yeah.
number of kids.
Because it says 8 here, but you were talking like a half dozen to 7. So
Right.
should in our motion say,
6 to 12?
you
6
know?
to 12 would be, yeah, I don't expect it to go over 12.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say 6 to 12 is accurate.
That-
We didn't
Is
move any
everybody
farther in
comfortable
that because the
with
board didn't.
amendment to that motion? Because I just want to make sure that we cover the kids. We good with that? Okay, all right, go ahead. All right. Any more questions?
No, I would just say that if we do get enough interest that it's more than 12, I'd like it to come back to the board so we can.
Absolutely.
Please,
We
yeah.
could take a look at that again.
That won't be a problem.
Deposits would have to be in by the end of the school year. So
Okay.
we are under the gun, so I'm not sure we're going to get over 12, but if it is, I'll certainly
And
update you.
is it opened up to all the students, like from 8th grade up to juniors?
Current freshman, sophomore, and juniors.
Okay, I just need to know that. Okay,
Yep.
thank you. All right. Any more questions or comments? I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Congratulations, and Mr. Velas, enjoy your trip.
All right, thank you. Yes, I do. And we're going to move on to our next phase here, and I know there's a few folks out in the audience who have been waiting to get to this point, and I appreciate your guys' patience with that. A couple of years ago, the board created a staff award called Plymouth 212 with the idea of water does not boil at 211 degrees, it's just really hot, but at 212, just that one little extra degree, it makes water boil. And so we talked about how there's a number of staff members in this district who give that extra degree, that extra effort that really has a significant impact on our schools, on our students. So last year we identified our first 4 winners of the Plymouth 212 Award. And tonight we have the honor of celebrating this year's 4 folks. So the way we're going to do this, and I had to write out a couple of notes to myself so I wouldn't mess this up, but we're going to ask each individual to come up front here, and then we're going to say a bunch of things that's really going to be like embarrassing to them. Then they're going to get their award. And we also have for everybody, the folks who are getting these awards, we also have all the nomination forms that were written about you, so you get a chance to take those home later and kind of read about what your colleagues said about you and what the committee read about you. So you'll just have to bear and spend just a few minutes. I know it's probably killing Dave to have to stand up here, but no, we're doing it in alphabetical order. So, and then there's different members of the administrative team up here who are going to say some stuff. So we're actually going to start with Mr. Mark Kaur, who, if you could please come on up. So this is the part where you're going to hear a bunch of embarrassing things about you from Mr. Penn.
And I get to say them. So. I'm always impressed by the work done throughout the year by our custodians and our maintenance staff. They keep the buildings up and running when we're here during the day. They stay well after we're long gone to scrub the whole place down. They come in while it's still dark to clear away the snow and the ice. And they make everything shine over the summer. This year, I'm very proud to announce that one of our members of the custodial staff has been recognized for his hard work with the Plymouth 212 Award. The nomination for Mark speaks volumes, and I just want to share a couple of phrases from it. Mark consistently goes above and beyond in our school. He somehow seems to be in all places at all times. He takes pride and ownership in what he considers to be his building. He's concerned with the success of our students at Eli Terry. He knows every piece of equipment in the building, and is the first person we call when we have something new that we can't figure out how to put together. He's an excellent representative of our school. I also had a chance to speak with Joe Dennis, our Director of Facilities, about Mark, and I asked Joe to give me 3 words to describe to Mark, and Joe said, well, is it 3 words you can say on TV? I'm like, yes, it is. He was kidding. He was kidding. Joe's first word was dedicated. He's completely dedicated to that building and the staff and the students in it. His second word was overachiever, and he said, I mean that in the best way possible. Mark is an overachiever when it comes to the safety and the well-being in everyone in the building. And his last word was caring. Mark really cares deeply for everyone around him. Mark, you represent everything that we look for in this award. Constantly going that extra degree makes all the difference. Congratulations on being a 2017 Plymouth 212 Award winner.
And Greg's got it too, I think. Yeah, we're. And just at the end, what we're going to do is bring everybody up, and the whole board will be able to get into a picture with all 4 of the award winners. So our next person is Judy Comiskey from Fisher Elementary. I believe that it's Ms. Parsons who's going to say some things about Judy.
It is with honor that I share that Judy Comiskey is receiving the 212 Award this evening. Judy is a retired teacher who was previously employed at Fisher Elementary School as a writing coach prior to joining us in the library this year. And I say that in quotes because she's probably working harder than ever. Judy received a whopping 8 nominations from the teachers at Fisher Elementary School. Her colleagues praised her for her work with students and staff alike. They said Judy goes above and beyond for students in our building. And in addition to that, she shares new resources with staff and is willing to look for library materials that connect to the curriculum. The kindergarten team likens Judy to the little engine that could, due to her energy and enthusiasm. They note her positive attitude and big smile are as assets to the school community. Judy has taken it upon herself to transform part of the library into a makerspace this year and has a vision for the future of her program. In fact, last week I was meeting with Principal Warhunski, and we were sitting in her office, and we couldn't see who was coming up because she was covered in a quilting hoop and material. And she said, don't worry, that's just Judy. She's working on that makerspace. So the 4th grade team shared that the new makerspace encourages innovation, creation, and collaboration amongst the students. They come into the library not only to read, but complete hands-on activities that incorporate reading, writing, science, and creative arts. Judy takes her own resources, time, and energy to develop this program and is more than willing to do this in order to ensure students have fun while learning. We are grateful for her commitment to our students and her dedication to moving the work forward. Congratulations.
Picture.
All right. All right, so our next recipient is Mr. Dave Morrell from Plymouth Center School. So come on up, Dave. Dave has quite a cheering group out there. So I'm going to say a few words about Dave. I can tell you that certainly Mr. Dave Morrell is one of a kind. I've gotten to know him, and he may be one of the most humble gentlemen on the planet. So being here tonight, standing in front of all of you, is probably killing him. Multiple people nominated Dave as well for this 212 award. Ms. Collin writes, Dave is a remarkable resource to students. Over the years, he has provided incredible individualized support to students from pre-K to grade 5. She goes on to say his contribution to our school is immeasurable. His calm demeanor in the most trying of moments inspires all of us to be better people. Melissa Morelli writes that Dave goes above and beyond for both the staff and the children here at PCS. He will give teachers resources and support the moment they ask for it. With his students, he finds out their interest and taps into that to make sure each and every one of them feels important and cared for in his presence. Staff members also talked about how Dave stays after school, after the school day is over, to work with students to make model airplanes and ships. They talk about the tremendous support that Dave offers to anyone he meets. I have had the opportunity to see Dave at work myself, and I have seen firsthand the commitment and passion that Dave has for his work and his students. We are very fortunate to have someone like Dave Morrell working with us for the benefit of our students. So I give you Dave Morrell. And last, but only alphabetically last, Miss Vicki Reese. And I know Miss Trinks is going to say some
I
words.
do. I get the pleasure of introducing Vicki Reese as the fourth of the 212 award recipients. Vicki is the teacher in the Apple program at Fisher School. And I always say, I figure I better start by telling people what Apple is in case they don't know. And it stands for a primary program of learning experience. It's a program designed to meet individual needs. It's often for students with an autism spectrum disorder diagnosis, but other disabilities too. They have functional academics, communication, life skills, and they benefit from very different instruction. And that's kind of important because I try to think of why I believe Vicki was nominated. To me it was obvious, but I wanted to be able to kind of lay it out for people. There are many aspects to the job anyway, and in the Apple program they're very pronounced. So first is her work with the students that reaches the 212 level. This is why Vicki does what she does. One of the people who nominated Vicki said, she has transformed this challenging and demanding setting into a learning environment filled with individuality, creativity, and organization. Every student in the room is supported and challenged with the daily routine that brings out the best of his or her unique self, resulting in a positive atmosphere where learning, praise, and support are the norm. So that's how she supports the students. But there's another part of the Apple program that is not necessarily seen in every classroom. It's the oversight and collaboration of the many staff members that are also in that room. Imagine having 9 or 10 paraprofessionals, so other adults in the room, working one at a time with 8 different students, each doing something different. It sounds chaotic, but in Vicki's room it's not. One nomination is from a paraprofessional in her program who says that As her para, I appreciate all she does for me. She has taught me more than I ever expected I would take in this job. She never hesitates to help us and never makes us feel like we are interrupting her, no matter how many times one of us says, "Reese," in the middle of the day. Her staff honored her last year by making t-shirts, which I see in the audience on a couple of people who, if they want to stand up, they could, that say Reese's Pieces.
That's cute.
A third piece of an educator is having to complete the other professional responsibilities, collaborating with parents, other professionals, outside specialists, writing IEPs, planning programs, covering for the absent staff that day, scheduling, training. These professional responsibilities are required, but even more so when you have a position like Vicki. And she makes it part of her 212 award in the way she does it. And she does it all with a smile. Finally, her work in the school community is the last thing that I wanted to bring up. She brings clothes from her children, who I believe are here today, when they've outgrown them, so that kids can use them if they get dirty during the day. She's coordinated building-wide celebrations for Down Syndrome Awareness Month or Autism Awareness Month. And one nomination said that bringing awareness and acceptance of these disorders to the Fisher community is her mission, and she has succeeded. Based on all of this, I don't think I can add anything more, although I agree with it all, and it explains why Vicki is one of the 212 recipients.
And then, because we're going to do this picture, so go ahead with that. Yeah, so can we bring all of the recipients up and have all the board members and our student reps come up as we like to do? You guys, you think we can scoot all of you guys in?
No.
You want us in there? Really?
I think we can make it work. Oh. Judy's breaking stuff.
It was Dave.
What do you think? We good? Justin?
Like cherries would have been nice, right?
A motion to resume regular schedule at 8:15.
So moved.
Karen? Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. That brings us to our first public comment. Going once? Going twice? Okay, moving forward. Unfinished business. Did you want that, Roxanne?
I can.
Or not? Who wants to do it?
Go ahead.
So we're looking at policy, and I got to tell you, the policy subcommittee has been working very, very hard on the policies. We actually have the 4,000s going off to CAVE, so you'll be seeing the 4,000s in your mailbox real soon. But tonight we're bringing for a second read the 3,000 policy series. So I would like you to entertain a motion for. Yeah, that has to be separate, right?
No.
Do you want to take, we also have policy 2151 that you could also consider putting together as one motion.
One motion.
Put it into one motion, or would like you to consider to approve policy series 3000, the business non-instructional operations, policy 2151. Is there a motion?
So moved. It's coming from committee?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions? Comments? Concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, you have passed.
All right.
Okay. All right, consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Karen?
Second.
Mike? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving forward, new business. Mr. Penn?
Sure. So this is the annual healthy food certification. Those of you that have been on the board know that we do this every year roughly around this time frame. It basically says one of two things. There's two different options. You can either pass a healthy food certification that says you don't have any food out that doesn't comply with the food standards, or option two, you get to have a exemption policy that basically allows you to have foods that don't compete with the National School Lunch Program and don't compete with the breakfast program that we offer. What I would tell you is that in practice, option number two works out a lot better for the schools because it allows them to have food-based fundraisers and things along those lines. As you can see outlined in the agenda, there's very specific language around this that will be incorporated into the minutes and sent on to the state. But it'd be my recommendation that you have a motion to adopt consideration number two that would allow for those exemptions under that criteria.
Okay, so the motion would be to accept consideration two exemption for food items as presented.
So moved.
Roxanne?
Second.
Melissa? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. All right, board reports, curriculum?
Hello. The curriculum subcommittee did not meet in April. The next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 16th at 5:30 p.m. in the conference room at Central Office.
Thank you, Michelle. Facilities? There's no report, because you're meeting next week, right?
Yeah, they did not meet due to lack of business.
Your next being May 9th? Oh, that one's just.
No, that was one we
Oh,
didn't
my
have.
lord.
Right.
Okay. Finance?
The Finance Subcommittee met at 6 o'clock prior to the board meeting and reviewed the accounts by facility report for the month of April, and we will forward that to the Town of Plymouth Board of Finance.
Any questions? Okay, negotiations?
The negotiations subcommittee did not meet Wednesday, May 3rd, but we will have a special meeting on Tuesday, May 16th, 8:30, Central Office Conference Room. And I'd like to say, a year and a half ago, we set a goal to finish the entire negotiations, rewrite the entire policy in 2 years. We are going to be one chapter shy of hitting our goal when November comes, and a lot of that aggressive behavior has come from a great team, so I want to thank everybody for working together so well. We knew it was a stretch to really get it done in 2 years, so to only be one section off at that 2-year mark is pretty remarkable, so thank you.
Safety and transportation?
No, the Safety and Transportation
Oh,
Subcommittee
did I
did
miss
not
it?
meet on Tuesday, May 9th.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris,
That's okay.
because I think we were talking about policy, so I skipped you.
That's all right.
Oh, and I jumped negotiations, that's my
Yeah, I'm
fault.
sorry about that.
We
Chris?
met at 6:30 prior to the meeting. All items were addressed under the consent agenda.
Can we just put a sign up for now?
should get
Just
one.
put a sign up.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions for any of the committees? Okay, second public comment. Going once, going twice, moving on. Board liaison to the schools. I actually just got the one from Fisher, so bear with me, it's actually partly on my phone. It's gonna be a little small. But I guess the PTA actually sponsors a dinner for the teacher conferences during their book fair. So the teachers wanted to thank the PTA. I thought that was awesome. So they thanked the teachers. And they also had an enrichment program, food and play program on April 28th. And they're gearing up for their 5th grade picnic. And basically they're looking for committee members and some officers. But that kind of, all that stuff is just basic. So I just wanted to tell you about the enrichment program. So moving on is Mike for Plymouth Center.
Let's see. It's not all PTO stuff. Grade 3 will go to the Nutmeg Symphony Tuesday, May 16th, and grade 3 will go to the Beardsley Zoo May 28th. The PTO will sponsor a booth at the Robertson Airport Wheels and Wings event Saturday, June 10th from 8 to 4 on May 18th. Field Day will be at the Plymouth Center June 20th. 5th grade will have a 5th grade celebration day Monday, June 19th. There'll be a parent auction on June 16th at Chute Gates. And the PTO will meet June 13th for the election of their officers. And that's it.
Okay, any questions? Okay, moving on. Roxanne?
I missed the last meeting because it was one of the policy nights, so hopefully I'll catch the next one.
Okay.
Yes, the Terryville High School PTSA After Grad Committee met on April 26th, 2017. They are in great shape for the after grad party. They are going to be holding a flower sale this Saturday, as one of our student reps has already talked about, and it is going to be on the Plymouth Congregational Church Green from 9 to 3. So brave the rain on Saturday and get some flowers. They are currently looking for parents of juniors this year, seniors next year, for officer positions and as members of the PTSA in order to have the great after grad party that they've been having for the last few years. They really need some people to step up, and they tried to rope me in, but I told them that I would remain as the liaison to them so that I could go to the meetings, but yeah. So I'll be calling up some of my friends to get on there.
There you go.
The next meeting for the PTSA, and if there are any parents who are interested, it'd be a great time to go to kind of get an idea of what they do. The next meeting is on May 17th at 7 o'clock here at the high school.
Any questions? SEPTA.
The next meeting for SEPTA is Wednesday, May 17th at 9:30 in the morning at the Lucky Cup.
Okay. Michelle?
For Ed Advance, we reviewed the budget and goals for next year.
Okay. Any questions? Wamogo. Chris.
We met last week. We started off with the introduction by a student on basic parliamentary procedure to try and polish up how we handled our meetings. We also reviewed the programs for the end of the school year, and we reviewed some of the basic plans to do a little bit of an expansion to better accommodate student meetings and also the welding program.
Any questions? Okay, Jerry.
Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the CAVE meeting. I had a conflict with a meeting that was being held in town, so.
Thank you. All right, any last board comments?
Yeah, I'd like to just mention last Thursday, here at Terryville High School, we held a mock DUI program. Mr. Perkins was involved, and the Danielle. And it was a great learning experience. We had all the seniors out there. The scenario involved a motor vehicle accident involving injuries and a fatality. And first responders were activated as if it were the real thing. Lights and siren, the dispatcher set off the tones. Yeah, I think it was quite uplifting for the kids. And the only thing I just wanted to comment on, I didn't have a chance to say there, the only thing we didn't hear there was the screaming, the moaning, and the crying. It was very, very realistic. Hopefully it did its job, and it's going to prevent any type of tragedy of that type. So well done, Mr. Perkins and your staff.
Okay, any other last comments? Okay, I just want to say that I'm happy that we'll go. All the students get to go, so I'm very happy for all those families and the kids. I just remind everybody, please, again, I need a quorum for the 18th, if that is the date, and it looks like it will be, so let us know. Congratulations to all of the winners of the 212, and the Italy/ London trip now. Very happy for them that it was like lemons into lemonade. It was a good thing for them. And the DC trip, I absolutely believe that our kids should go to DC, so I'm very happy that we approved that also. So now we are going, our next meeting will be held on June 14th at 7 o'clock here at the Terryville Library Cafeteria, Wednesday. But I do need to make a motion to go in executive session at 8:23, and I will be inviting Dr. Summel in with us.
So moved.
Roxanne, Melissa, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We are done for now.
Just a reminder to our viewing public, there will not be any further motions when we come back from executive session. The only thing that will happen is an adjournment of the board. So we'll be turning off the cameras at this point, and we won't be filming any more of this meeting.